Hello everyone and welcome to our Sciences Po Live broadcast dedicated to the Sciences Po School of Research. My name is Adrien Canet and I serve as Marketing and Recruitment Manager at Sciences Po. I'm truly delighted that so many of you are able to be with us today. So whichever part of the world you are connected from, welcome to you all and thank you for being with us. We're here to give you the most up-to-date information on the Sciences Po School of Research, and to do so, several guests are with me. By my side in this studio is Dina Vaked, Dean of the Sciences Po School of Research. Dina, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
And we also have a great international panel of two student and graduate of the Sciences Po School of Research, Brunwin and Victor. You are respectively from the United States and from Poland. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll be with you in just a moment. Now, to you viewers watching us live on YouTube today, should you have any question at this point, you can start ask your questions in the chat box of this YouTube live session. Our guests will be more than happy to answer a few of those questions in the second part of this broadcast. Now let's get started, and my first question goes to Dina Vaked. Dina, as a start, could you sum up in a few words what the Sciences Po School of Research is all about?
So the School of Research offers both master's and PhD programs. We're one of the schools at Sciences Po that is mainly taught by the permanent faculty. So permanent faculty are highly engaged in offering the classes at the School of Research. We offer students the opportunity to engage in high-quality research within a stimulating international academic environment. Students are prepared through analytical, theoretical, methodological skills to then join a diverse career opportunities in France and internationally. We have about 700 students part of our school. About 400 are in the master program, 300 are in the PhD programs. That they work closely alongside the permanent faculty of about 300 colleagues along 5 main programs, 5 disciplines, so law, economics, history, sociology, and political science.
And the Sciences Po School of Research is the only graduate school at Sciences Po offering both master's program but also PhD programs. All programs offer at least a full English track, which is great for international prospective students. Could you list the programs that the Sciences Po School of Research offers?
So we have 4 master programs. We have a master program in economics, a master program in sociology, in history, in political science. But we also have 3 dual degree programs, 2 offered in history, one with the École du Louvre. This is a program that's entirely in French. However, there's another program also with within the master in history with King's College in London, and this is a program that's entirely in English. There's also a third dual degree program now with economics, and this is a program offered with Paris 1 Panthéon-Sorbonne. We also have 5 PhD programs now, other than history, sociology, political science, and economics. There is also a PhD program in law.
Great, and of course the Sciences Po School of Research is not the only international university offering such programs. What distinguishes the Sciences Po School of Research from other institutions offering the same type of programs?
So one of the things that distinguish us from other universities, schools of research is that firstly we have a very small cohort in the different programs. So we offer students the ability to work closely within a small cohort of students and in very close proximity to the faculty. All our master students write dissertations, so they have an opportunity to engage in high-quality research that they work on throughout their year, and they have an entire semester entirely dedicated to writing their dissertation that they then end up defending in front of a jury. We also offer them funding and support to spend some time internationally, so we have a very strong international mobility program. We offer them also support to engage in field research and other opportunities to attend workshops and to travel. We also encourage interdisciplinarity, so we're a small permanent faculty of, as I said, about 300 members within the permanent faculty. We all work very closely with each other, so students can very easily switch from one discipline to the other, proximity physically, but also research-wise. Many of our centers are very similar in the kind of work that we offer, and we have a very strong emphasis on methods, so whether it's quantitative, analytical methods or qualitative methods, which distinguishes us from, I guess, other schools as well.
Thank you very much, Gina. Now, you mentioned the strong international outlook of the Sciences Po School of Research. Hopefully, many of the viewers watching us live today are future applicants to the School of Research. What is a typical international School of Research master's applicant? What type of students are you looking for? Is there any prerequisite to apply to the Sciences Po School of Research at a master's level?
So this is a hard question because there is no typical student in that sense. We have students and applicants from all around the world that come from really very diverse backgrounds. But I think the one thing that you can find in common with all of these students is everyone is really motivated by research, to engage in studying deeply how to continue researching, but also to pursue a career in research, whether as an academic career or a non-academic career. Everyone is really eager to work on a master dissertation, and then regarding the disciplinary requirement, there are none. So all we look for is, of course, excellent candidates that are motivated, very rigorous, that are really looking forward to engage in a career in research while students, but also once they leave our programs. And we also look for their suitability with the different programs that they're applying to. But otherwise, there are no hard prerequisites that they need to satisfy before applying.
You mentioned international students, and we have the pleasure of having one of them today. Brunwin, thank you again for being with us. You are from the United States. You're a second-year student in the Master in Political Science. You did your undergraduate studies at MOE University in Georgia, USA. You did a Bachelor of Arts in History and French Studies. Thank you again for being with us. How did you choose the Master in Political Science at the Sciences Po School of Research? What made you choose Sciences Po from other universities maybe you applied to?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I actually love discussing this question with prospective students. My trajectory was definitely not linear. As you mentioned, I studied history in undergrad, and so I had a lot of qualitative methods experience. And then I took a gap year after my undergraduate education. And during that time, I realized that I needed to develop more quantitative research skills. So I applied for a scholarship through my undergraduate university, the Shepherd Scholarship, which is designated for only research-based programs. And when it comes to research-based programs, places to learn quantitative or qualitative methods, and to learn French, to solidify my fluency in French, Sciences Po was a very obvious choice for me.
Now let's talk about the program itself. Do you have a favorite class in the Master in Political Science at the Sciences Po School of Research?
It's an impossible question, I admit. There are too many to count, but I do have two that sort of come to mind immediately. The first is the Equality, Discrimination, and Diversity class with Professor Saba. If you have an opportunity at any point to take a course with him, I would strongly recommend it, regardless of your research interests. But I also really loved the political economy of welfare state transformations with Professor Pallier and Professor Hay. And I actually loved this course so much that it ended up being the basis for my master's thesis research.
You mentioned research, which is an important component of the program in political science at the Sciences Po School of Research. What is your master's thesis about?
Another great question. So kind of branching off of the political economy of welfare state transformations course, I developed a very particular interest in social policy, but also in violence. So my project is concerned with the contemporary normative political theories of welfare state and also relating them to interpersonal violence. So there's an imminent critique aspect, hopefully a process tracing and a clustering exercise as well.
So we've mentioned courses, research. Now let's have a word on student life. You are an active member of several student organizations. You're the president of SORA, which is the association of the School of Research. Could you tell us about it and how student life is at the Sciences Po School of Research?
Of course. SORA is as you mentioned, the student-led organization housed in the School of Research, and I would describe our role in the School of Research as two-pronged. First of all, we organize events, academic, professional, and social events for our students to help them develop research skills, professional connections, but also to build and foster community across the programs. It's sometimes you can feel a little siloed in other programs, I think, and not meeting, econ students if you're in poli-sci and vice versa. And so SORA really tries to foster that connection. But we also have an advocacy element, and so if students see any issues arise, they can come to us via email, social media, or in person, and we can connect them with the necessary resources through the administration. I also was in volleyball for a time. I was on the competitive team, which was relatively new for me. So if you take an ECTS course at Sciences Po in the arts, in sports, it opens up a whole new sort of realm if you haven't done something before or want to build on a skill you already have. And it might even branch into an extracurricular interest for you.
Thank you so much, Brunwin, for your testimonial. We'll get back to you in just a few minutes. Now, back to studio with Dina Vaquet. Dina, maybe a word on campus. The Sciences Po School of Research is based on the Sciences Po Paris campus at the very heart of the city. Could you give us a word on the campus?
So we're part of the new campus that it was inaugurated in 2022. So it's a campus that's in the heart of the city. So it's in the heart of Paris, in the Saint-Germain-des-Prés district. It's listed as a historical monument. And what is interesting about the campus is that for the very first time, I guess in the history of Sciences Po, it houses most of the centers of the university, so different disciplines, and most faculty members are between this campus and the very connected campuses to it, which allows this ease of exchange between the different research centers. But it also houses the research library, so it's one of the biggest libraries in the social sciences, and it has a specifically dedicated place for students that are working in the library, but particularly so while they're writing their dissertation at the end of their master's.
And the Paris campus accommodates all master's students at Sciences Po, not only the School of Research master's students, but all graduate school students at Sciences Po, 7,000 of them, and also 3,000 undergraduate students. Thank you so much, Dina. Now, a word on innovation in teaching methods. Brunwin mentioned courses and also research activities. Could you tell us about the articulation between the two, between courses and research, and how are research projects conducted by the students?
So this is a very interesting question, and it depends also on the different disciplines. So for example, some of the students spend a lot of work and a lot of time doing archival research. In other discipline, it's less so. There's more field work. So it really depends on the topics that the students are engaged in. Now, there is a very strong articulation between teaching and research in the sense that most of the students have a first-hand experience working directly with a supervisor. So they get to not only engage with the permanent faculty through the classes that are being taught as part of the School of Research, but also in this one-on-one engagement with their supervisors. And through that exchange, they get to also develop their own research skills and their own research terrain, whether it then involves field research, desktop research, theoretical or empirical research, and from there they built this dissertation together that is really their own piece of work. And many of the students part of the master program at the School of Research, about half of them end up in career in academia, and writing that piece of work is sort of the first step towards developing their own courses. If they end up continuing their PhD programs at Sciences Po, they will teach their own classes. And here you get to see yet another articulation between their own research and the classes that then they continue to offer. And I guess it's the same if they join academic careers elsewhere.
Thank you very much, Dina. Now, you said how the School of Research has a very strong international outlook. You mentioned how all programs have at least one fully English taught track. Could you give us maybe a few more facts and figures on the international dimension of the Sciences Po School of Research?
Of course. So the School of Research is very international, as you're saying. It's very internationally oriented in terms of the faculty that is involved. So Sciences Po has a very international faculty, but also the students. So about 40% of the students at the School of Research are international students. The program in economics is entirely in English. The program in one of the programs offered as part of the Master in Political Science is entirely in English. The dual degree program with King's in History is also entirely in English. And in Sociology, there's also an opportunity for students to do the entire program in English, basically offering a bilingual track. With regards to the PhD program, which is also a very international programs across the 5 disciplines, again, many of the students, if not most, are international students, and they get to have the choice to write their dissertations either in English or in French to prepare them for careers, academic careers and non-academic careers, either in France or globally.
Thank you very much, Gina. Let's now give it up for Victor, our second guest who is with us remotely. Victor, thank you again for being with us. You are a 2024 Master in Economics graduate. You did your undergraduate studies at SGH Warsaw School of Economics. You are currently research associate at the Barcelona School of Economics in Spain. You are studying the impacts of weather and climate change on agricultural production. As I said, you did the Master in Economics at the Sciences Po School of Research. Could you tell us about the program, the different courses you attended, and maybe a favorite course you had?
Hi, thank you for the invitation. Yes, I'm a 2024 graduate, and I finished a 2 years course at School of Research at Sciences Po. So the first thing I want to highlight is the research aspect of the course. I would say it follows the classic structure of a US PhD 2 years of the US PhD program in economics. That is, it provides you with basic knowledge in macroeconomics and econometrics. That is 3 semesters, and then you have elective courses alongside of it. So basically, it gives you the base and the mathematical tools to build, to understand economics, and then provides you electives to get you interested in some specific aspect of economics, on which you will base your master dissertation. Another thing I want to mention is the intensity of the program. It's quite intense and it's quite difficult, I would say. But then the group size is quite small, as Adrian mentioned before. So it provides a nice family-like atmosphere, very supportive, where you can actually feel quite comfortable. And if it comes to my favorite course, for me it was development economics, since I work in the development economics right now, and it touched upon many different aspects that came to my interest.
A word about the position you hold today as research associate at the Barcelona School of Economics. What is your daily work about?
Yes, so I'm working on a European Research Council project with a professor here at Barcelona School of Economics, and we study basically climate adaptation of farmers in developing countries. So we study weather and climate change effect on structural transformation and how they actually adjust or not adjust to these long-term changes. But my daily work consists of coding, which you will also learn during your master's a lot. And then, of course, research aspects like literature review, attending seminars, developing the conceptual framework of the research paper.
Gina mentioned how quite a large part of the graduates work not in France but internationally. What were the stages of building your own professional project during your studies at the Sciences Po School of Research?
Yes, so I would say it starts with the basic mathematical tools, as I mentioned before, and also the, let's say, basic knowledge in economics, that is macroeconomics and econometrics, that gives you a possibility to understand economics better. And then you can also attend seminars at the department, which invite amazing guests all around the world, and also internal professors give the talks. And then, of course, this knowledge allows you to read literature, with which you will get familiar also during the elective courses, especially in the second year. So this allows you to actually write your master dissertation and then possibly continue your research in a PhD project.
And what would you say the contributions did the school make to the start of your career?
So I would say the world of research in economics is quite small and potentially closed to people from outside. So certainly it drags you into it and allows you to get familiar with methods, with people that work in research, which is very unique, I would say, for such a program. Then, of course, it facilitates you to apply to future PhD or just work in positions that are more research oriented. And of course, it also provides you professional experience, because sometimes, quite often, professors look for research assistants even during the masters or after the masters. So it allows you to take up some small side job to just gain more hands-on experience, I would say.
Thank you very much, Victor. Now, final question. What would your best memory as a student at the School of Research be?
Yes, my favorite memory, I think, was the end of the second semester. As I mentioned, the first year is quite tough at the Sciences Po. So after finishing the final exam, take-home exam that took each one of us the whole day, we just simply met by Canal Saint-Martin in Paris and celebrated our victory together.
Thank you so much, Victor, for your testimonial. We'll get back to you in just a few minutes. Now, final series of questions for Dina Baked. Victor mentioned how the School of Research did contribute to the start of his career. How do you at the School of Research prepare students for professional life?
So there are a lot of things that we do at the School of Research to help students integrate a professional career once they leave our program. One is that we offer them sort of a tailored approach in the sense that they have advice on the choice of the different career paths that they can choose from. So whether if they're interested in an academic career, they have support in, for example, putting their applications together. They also have different advice through our colleagues in the Sciences Po career offices about the different potential careers that they can get to apply to. We also prepare at the School of Research testimonies with alumni that have chosen different career paths, so academic and non-academic careers, and their testimonies are then regularly published in a newsletter that is diffused every month, so that we can also put the alumni together with the students in the programs, and through that approach also directly engaging with their supervisors, with the faculty members at the school. They get to see like a plethora of alternative options. But more than that, and I think that's exactly what we just heard from Victor, is that the rigorous methodological training that they get, but also the substance of the different master programs that we offer, prepare our students to just basically go out into the world and find jobs in different corners of the planet.
So preparations for working life begin right at the start of a student's academic journey. In which sectors and at what positions are the Sciences Po School of Research graduates recruited?
So I guess I've been saying that all along in a sense. So about 50% of our graduates end up in academic careers, which means that they finish the master in research and then pursue a PhD. This PhD is not necessarily at Sciences Po. Many of our master students end up pursuing PhDs at Harvard, at MIT, at Columbia, Oxford, Cambridge, at the EUI, other universities around the world. But then about 50% of those that don't end up in an academic career, they choose other careers. So I can give you the exact statistics. So about 43% join the private sector, 33% the public sector, 11% of our graduates join NGOs, and another 11% join international organizations.
So they work in a very diverse
Exactly.
range of sectors and positions. Thank you so much, Dina. Now is the time for our Q&A session. Thank you, dear viewers, for the numerous questions you've been asking in the chat box of this YouTube live session. And here is the first question from our viewers. Question for Dina. Let me read it out loud for you and for our viewers. How specific should my research project be to apply to the Sciences Po School of Research?
So I think as specific as it can get, in the sense that in order to really stand out, we have a lot of applicants to the different programs. It would be great to show at least basic knowledge of the literature in the field. What is the contribution of that project? Why would you as a candidate stand out? So as much information that can get into the application, particularly on the research. Of course, things change, and as you start taking classes here and work on the dissertation at the end, the research project often changes. But as specific as it can be possible at the stage of application, that would be my advice.
Thank you very much, Dina. Now a question for Brunwin, a question about student club activities and classes. Brunwin, let me read out the question for you. Is it easy to combine student club activities with classes? How do you effectively manage both at Sciences Po?
This is the age-old question, a great one to consider, I think, especially in your first year. As Victor mentioned, the first year is quite rigorous. There are a lot of methodology courses and just more courses in general. As Dean Waked mentioned, the final semester, you won't have any courses, but you will be working on the memoir, which of course is quite intensive as well. I think that one way that I balance it is I always prioritize my studies, of course, and so a great example would be with volleyball. I ended up joining that competitive team, but I communicated to them that I have lab courses sometimes during games or during practices, or if I had a big deadline coming up, I would just let my coach know long in advance, and he was very understanding, very accommodating, and understood where my priorities were. So I didn't get to attend every game, but I did at least get to participate some of the time. And so I think you have to find your own balance, as everyone does, but just informing the coaches or supervisors of your extracurriculars in advance. They will be understanding. They know you're a full-time research student, and that's really the primary way I would balance.
Thank you very much, Brunwin. Now another question for Dina. How does the process of selecting a thesis advisor work at the School of Research?
So the process is a mutual selection, in the sense that, of course, it's matching the topic that the research project is about with the faculty that's expert in the field. So often this can be identified by the student themselves, and they approach them, they talk to them, and then they get to accept to supervise them. But sometimes if they don't know who to approach, then there are the program directors that can guide the students towards the faculty so that they have a first exchange and then the matching happens.
Thank you, Dina. Now a question for Victor about applications of your research in the private sector. Victor, you graduated from the Sciences Po Master in Economics, and you now work for the Barcelona School of Economics in Spain. Do your research projects have applications in the private sector? Have you had opportunities to work for private companies, or do you plan to?
So I immediately took this position, a research position at the university after graduating from my master's. So after my master's, I didn't have a chance to work for the private sector. However, I think the skills that you're acquiring during the master's, they can be extremely useful when you want to work in the private sector, because it's these mysterious analytical skills. It's exactly what you're getting in this program. And this is what every employer actually not only wants but desires in the job market. I used to work for a consulting company before joining the program, and I would say that the methods you're going to learn during the program largely advance those used in private sectors, especially in junior positions in that sector that I worked in.
Thank you very much, Victor. And now, final question for Dina Waked. Dina, as a School of Research master student, is it possible to conduct an internship or only a master research thesis, or both?
So, of course, students can engage in internship, but a master thesis is a necessary requirement to graduate from the research master program. So all students undertake a master of research that they then defend by the end of their master program, that allows them to apply for a PhD here or elsewhere, but that doesn't mean that they cannot engage in internships as well.
So the research thesis is mandatory, but conducting an internship is also an additional option. Thank you very much, Dina. Now our information session is now coming to an end. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you, Brunwin, Victor, and Dina for being with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dear viewers, we hope that we were able to answer all the questions you had on the Sciences Po School of Research, and we hope to see you again soon at Sciences Po. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Thank you.